All right, today we're jumping into a relationship dynamic that really pushes back on our traditional ideas about love, about monogamy, and especially about jealousy. It's called the Stag and Vixen lifestyle. And trust me, it's a fascinating one. So let's dive in.
And right away, this whole thing throws a massive question at us. Is it a sign of weakness for a husband to encourage his wife to be with other men? Or is it actually the ultimate sign of confidence, like peak security in yourself and your relationship?
Okay, first things first, we've got to clear the air about something. This is not, I repeat, not the cuckolding stereotype you might see in memes. That whole thing is usually about humiliation, feeling inadequate. The stag mindset, it's the complete opposite. It's all about pride, feeling in control, and yeah, a very specific kind of arousal. So, with that stereotype out of the way, let's really define this thing. What is the stag and vixen dynamic, actually? Here's the textbook definition, basically. The wife, who's called the vixen, has sexual encounters with other guys. But here's the absolute kicker. It's all done with the full knowledge, the full consent, and even the encouragement of her husband, the stag. No secrets, no cheating. It's all out in the open. And that right there gets to the core principle of this whole lifestyle. They're emotionally monogamous, but sexually, they're not. Their emotional bond, their love, that's just for them. It's sacred. The sex part, though, that has different rules, but there's still very, very clear boundaries. Okay, so that naturally leads to the million-dollar question, right? Why? What's going on psychologically, maybe even biologically, that makes this setup so appealing for some couples? Well, when you dig into it, it seems to boil down to four key drivers. You've got this fascinating biological idea called sperm competition theory. Then there's something called the pride mechanism, a really powerful emotion known as compersion, and a big dose of female sexual empowerment. Let's zoom in on that one for a second. Compersion. Think of it as the literal opposite of jealousy. It's the feeling of getting genuine joy from seeing your partner happy and getting pleasure, even with someone else. And what's wild is, people in this lifestyle say it's not something you just have. It's like a muscle you have to train. And that pride mechanism we mentioned, this quote just nails it. Knowing she can have any man she wants but comes home to you creates a jolt of adrenaline and affirmation. For the stag, it's this huge ego boost. It's not about being not enough, it's about being the one she chooses above all others. It's a massive confirmation of his own value. All right, so we've got the why down, we've explored the psychology. Now let's get practical. How does this actually work? What are the roles, the rules of engagement, and the processes that make this thing tick? So you basically have three key players in this dynamic. First, you have the stag, the husband. He's often the one orchestrating things, making sure their primary bond is always front and center. Then you've got the vixen, the wife. She's really the main character here. Her desires and her agency are what drive the whole experience. And finally, there's the bull. He's the third party, and his job is simple. Be respectful and understand he's a guest in their world. Now, you can probably guess that safety and open communication are everything. This isn't something people just jump into. There's a whole vetting process. It starts slow, just talking about fantasies. Maybe it moves into exploring things online, but they always meet potential partners in person first to lay down the law, the ground rules, long before anything physical ever happens. And for this to work long-term, couples have a set of what are basically unbreakable rules. The big one? Total, radical transparency. No secrets, period. The stag always has veto power if he's not comfortable. The vixen's number one priority is always her husband. And the bull? He has to respect their boundaries, no questions asked. Okay, now we're getting to what a lot of couples say is the most intense, most important, and maybe the most surprising part of this entire dynamic. They call it the reclaiming. So reclaiming isn't just them having sex after she's been with someone else. It's described as this almost sacred ritual where the two of them reconnect. The whole point is to reinforce their primary bond. In fact, for many, this is the real emotional and sexual climax of the whole experience, not the encounter with the other guy. And this is the part that probably shocks most people on the outside. What's the reported result of all this? More intimacy. Couples who do this say it actually leads to a hotter, more passionate sex life between the two of them. And look, this quote from a real couple in the lifestyle really brings that home. Susie tends to be more horny before, during, and after if she has a date.
we have more sex together now, it's brought us closer together. See, the whole experience, from the anticipation to the reclaiming afterwards, just fuels the fire in their own relationship.
So, when you step back and look at the big picture, what's really going on here? At its heart, this whole lifestyle is trying to redefine love. It's framing it as an act of liberation, not an act of possession.
But let's be real, it is absolutely not all sunshine and roses. The potential upsides are huge, right? Revitalizing your sex life, building insane levels of trust, even personal growth. But the challenges are just as serious. You have to navigate jealousy, deal with what other people think, and be so careful to avoid any unhealthy power dynamics creeping in.
And I think this really boils it all down to a single idea. It's a philosophical shift. It's moving away from the idea that love means ownership and towards a new idea, that love can mean celebrating your partner's pleasure, wherever it comes from.
And in the end, we're left with this really powerful, kind of provocative question. The question isn't just, can you handle it? It's deeper than that. The real question is, are you secure enough in yourself to even consider trying?